welcome back to Mind, Body, and Soul podcast, where we talk about all things relevant to health and wellness. I am so excited to introduce myself. My name is Madison Riley, and I look forward to bringing you along as I dive into personal research and further understanding of the world of wellness. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by two of my close friends, Ava Castro and Ava Pulliam. I know, that's a lot of Avas, but they're here to share their own experience and own encounters with whole foods. Today specifically, we're going to be discussing our own personal experience with food and nutrition, as well as narrowing it down and observing the ways we see some struggles of the American culture influencing. More specifically, we're going to be addressing how media misinformation, the capitalistic ideals of America, economic disparities, and the absence of education have a major influence on the way the American people's diet is structured. All right, to start our podcast today, I wanted to share a little fun fact from an article called We Don't Waste Food that says, when eating healthy foods as opposed to unhealthy foods, your brain responds to the nutrients you're ingesting by releasing neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, GABA, and more, all of which help with mood regulation, sleep aid, and reducing the physical reaction of anxiety. So food does matter. It matters what we're putting in to our bodies, and I'm excited to dive into this conversation talking about it more with y'all today. First off, I want to dive right into talking about each of our own personal experiences with eating healthy, or what that has looked like for each of us. I think we can start off with Ava, who can just start telling us about a little bit about more of what her experience has looked like.
Hi, I'm Ava Pulliam. I'm a freshman and I'm studying financial management, but I'm really passionate about all things health and nutrition. So I'm so happy to be able to talk about this. Starting with my experience, my health journey really started about a year and a half ago when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease, and through this, I had to really change my diet, cut out gluten, dairy, soy, all the things that everybody likes to enjoy, which was a really hard transition, especially coming into college and just having to be really mindful about what I was eating. So coming to college, eating the dining hall, they had a clean eat station, which I realized was healthier than some of the other options, but still didn't make me feel great because like the oils and other stuff they were using. So just because we think it's healthier, it actually still was making me feel really bad. So I really started doing like my own research and looking more into whole foods, cutting out processed foods completely. And through this transition, I ended up getting out of the dining hall plan and moving out on my own so I could cook my own foods just for my health, because it was really going downhill and just wasn't ideal for a I don't really
Yeah, it's hard to stay healthy in college
and
to
like
feel good.
Stay on top of my work and like really just live a normal life. Which I feel like a lot of people feel that way with the dining hall. So I'm very fortunate to have been able to move off and now like cook my own foods. And I realized that to really feel my best, I have to buy like 100% grass-fed meats, organic vegetables and fruits, which can be very expensive, but I think spending that money in that way to feel my best is worth it. And I know that might not be not everybody will be able to do that because of how expensive it is, but I think if you're making the healthier decisions, even if it's like not organic, but you're still buying like fruit instead of processed foods, like just making that transition will set you up for success in so many ways. So me personally, I think eating a whole foods diet, really reading the labels of food, and knowing what I'm putting in my body has helped me tremendously feel my best, have enough energy to make it through the day, and just feel strong and confident in my body.
For sure. I think it's one of those things, like once you start eating healthy and once you go down that route of a healthy diet, it's really hard when you're not eating like that. It makes a significant impact on your body and how you feel and how you function. So it's just awesome that you've been able to kind of get a good relationship with food and understand whole foods, what your body needs. And a lot of the things that she mentioned, we'll dive in a little bit more about how expensive food is and about how hard it is for some people to even be able to afford it, and how that's a big problem, why people can't find healthy foods. One of the really cool things about me and Ava's relationship is that we've bonded a lot over nutrition. We've actually talked about potentially starting a nutrition club at our college, so one day maybe we'll do that. But my personal experience with food kind of started when I was in like 8th grade. My mom started going down this path of really trying to make more conscientious decisions. She started down a diet of the 21-day fix. I don't think it's as popular anymore, but it's 21 days of cutting out you cut out things to find out what like affects your body in the end. And it's all very similar to the Whole30. We also tried the Whole30 diet, which is a cut out diet. You figure out what inflames your body, and then you slowly add it back in after 30 days to see what your body can and cannot eat. And so just talking to my mom, having her prepare these meals in our house and start taking away the goldfish, the Cheez-Its, the snacks that were always in our house before, and really just starting to see more fruits and veggies was really what like got me very interested in nutrition and learning about it. I also played 3 sports in high school, so it became critical to start taking more effort into improving my health as far as diet-wise. That became the biggest driving factor in why I actually became so focused on a whole food diet. Senior year, I actually tried a whole food diet where I cut out processed food and I cut out sugar and dairy, and it was huge. My times dropped. This was for cross country specifically. My race times were dropping by full-on minutes, and I can directly attribute it to food. And that was probably the best I've ever felt in my life, and just such a high because I felt like I could really actually function at my full potential. And just focusing on health was a really fun goal to just work on. And so coming to college and kind of having sports taken away and food being very difficult to find good whole foods or afford it or cook it has been a very big challenge for me. And I'm excited next year to be in a house where I can start cooking more whole foods. But I wanted to talk a little bit about a personal story. My uncle had cancer last year, colon cancer, and his wife is a dietitian, registered dietitian, and she actually put him on a whole food, no processed meal, lots of meat, fruits, and vegetables diet. And after less than a year, he was in full remission. And it's largely attributed to changes in his diet because food is healing. Food can heal when it's used in the proper way. And so through some of my research to kind of develop stuff for this podcast, I found in a study and observation published in the American Cancer Society Journal that the NCI's assessment of the dietary evidence concluded approximately 35% of all U.S. cancer deaths were associated with a typical American diet. And a target of an 8% reduction in deaths by the year 2000 through dietary improvement was established simply by cutting out processed foods. So food really does have a crazy role in our lives and the way it's affecting us and the way that it is, changing our body composition and changing the way we're able to process information and just how we feel. So that's kind of where I got my passion for nutrition. Again, I'm a business major. None of us are nutritionists. We really just have a passion for it and have personally experimented to feel our best. So Ava Castro, would you like to share a little bit about your own experience and encounter with full foods?
Yes, so I'm Ava Castro. I'm studying economics and have just been so much more conscious about health stuff even since being in college. I grew up kind of like playing sports and stuff like that, but my mom and dad, we never really, health wasn't super important in our family. My mom had always been trying to lose weight by going on diets like Optavia or just other random diets that she found online, but it never, I don't know, I kind of always grew up thinking that because kids have really fast metabolisms, and it just was never really something that I thought about. But coming to college, I've just had a lot of great conversations with a lot of different people about just the way that, and we'll get into this in a second, but social media is such a huge factor in people's diets and the way that they view food, especially with own body image and how it can really be just really detrimental to one's personal image. And I don't know, I just think kind of like what Ava was saying before, just about the dining hall I've never felt great eating at, after eating, even if it's at the clean station, whatever, I don't know, I never feel great after eating at the dining hall. And so that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to again next year, is like being able to invest in my own health through buying my own foods and making my own meals, and not really knowing exactly the process of what's going on like in the kitchen at the dining hall, you know what I mean? Like I literally just go up and just get it. Like I'm not looking at anything else. And I think for a lot of college students, it's like, oh, well, I'm getting it from the clean food stations, or this is like, it seems like a healthy, like balanced, you know, like the taco bowls, you know, we got chicken, rice, beans, all that, like veggies and stuff like that. But it's just like going on a deeper level and like looking at those ingredients and really paying attention to what is going into the process of food. So yeah, kind of like my health journey, I'd say, is definitely still under works. Like I'm still just learning so much about health in general, but I would say that it was definitely kickstarted like as soon as I got to college, and just being more aware of just what I'm putting in my body, and also how that affects our attention spans and studying and like our moods and stuff like that. And food is like an awesome like gift, but it's up to us to really use it well. So yeah, that's kind of my experience.
Yes, I love how you said food is a gift, because it truly is. And I think that's been so distorted in our culture at how we can actually use food as a gift. And for any of you that are listening, that we talk a lot about college and dining halls, and that's just where we are at this point of life, and I'm sure that can resonate with some of you, but this applies in many ways. I mean, mass-produced food is always going to not be the best quality, the grass-fed, all of the things. So you know, we struggle too with like eating out, because we don't want the dining hall, so we fall victim to the fast food restaurants just as well, that late night cookout. So we are definitely familiar with struggling also with fast food restaurants. So this can apply honestly to any aspect, not just the college life, but for those of you about to go to college or in college, there are ways to try to get around and eat healthier and better and just make more conscientious choices. So don't feel like it's without hope, because we've made it through the year. We're going on to our sophomore year of college, so it will be okay. So as we kind of mentioned before, there's a lot of us are on social media, a lot of us are on Instagram, a lot of us are on TikTok. We are getting influenced all the time by people, places, things, anything that's recommended. And a large bit of this has a great influence on how we view food, how we view nutrition. As Ava mentioned, body image, like food distortion, like how people's relationship for food has really struggled with the use of social media. So I kind of want to get into talking a little bit more about y'all's experience with social media and food, but also, you know, false advertising in the grocery stores. When I say false advertising, I mean where businesses or brands promote a product and say it's one thing when it's really not actually as good for you as they may say it is, which is such an unfortunate thing to hear. I know we all hate to know that the foods we think are good aren't actually as good as they want, but I would love if y'all could just comment on that or anything you'd have to say about what y'all have experienced.
You want to go?
Yeah, so we've kind of talked about before, like, energy drinks or protein bars, protein powders, and these things can be, I think, really good supplements to like your whole foods diet if you need them, if you need that extra protein. But I think like the most important thing, which we've already touched on, is like reading the ingredients in these things. Like you could be getting a protein bar that has like 30 grams of protein and you're like, oh, this is great, like I'm getting all this protein. But if you're not reading those other ingredients that are in it, which can be harmful to your health, I think it's not doing as much of a benefit as you think. Mm-hmm. Additionally, with like Celsius, it's marketed to like boost your metabolism and
cut weight fast. Like
yes. Mm-hmm. So I think reading those, you're like, oh, this is so healthy for me. But like, there's so many ingredients in those things, and you probably don't even know what half of them are. Mm-hmm. So like, do you really want to put that in your body? So I think in that way we're definitely like misled to think these things are healthy when they're really not.
Yeah, exactly. The business industry is so like the food industry is a business. I mean, it's more focused on quantity over quality, and I think that makes it really hard as a consumer if you simply don't know what food labels are, simply don't know what carbs, calories, what all this means, or what, I mean, it's a rule of thumb that we like to follow in my house, that if you can't read what the ingredients are, you shouldn't eat it. Yeah. You should know exactly what ingredients are in your food.
Yes, so true. I think, like, just at the beginning of this year, my mom and I went grocery shopping, and we were trying to find like protein bars because I usually don't go to the dining hall in the morning. Like I don't have time to go eat whatever. So I would go, and we were just looking at all the protein bars, and I was just like, I don't even know like what is good and what is not. Like I don't have a ton of experience and knowledge about like good and bad ingredients. And one of them, I think it's like Atkins or something, I don't know, but it said like 30 grams of protein or like whatever it was, but then like you look at the ingredients and it's like 32 grams of added sugar or something like that, and you just miss that because it's not right on the box. And I'm just like, oh, 30 grams of protein, like it has chocolate chips in it, literally, exactly. Right? And like the pictures on the front of the box too, it's like, oh, this looks yummy, whatever. But I also then I started like kind of thinking about more the ingredients and RX bars. Like I was gonna ask like what you think about that because you know, that's like it has all the ingredients on the front of the wrapper, and they're actually pretty good. I like don't mind eating them at all. And like
I love
filling
RX
too.
bars, honestly.
Yeah. So I think another thing for me is peanut butter. Like I don't know about y'all. Like I love peanut butter so much. I'm a fiend for peanut butter. But I've like been, you know, like more conscious about like what does this mean in terms of like it says low sodium or like low fat, and I don't really know what any of that means. So like I guess just being more conscious about, you know, checking ingredients like you've been saying.
I think it's funny too because like peanut butter is pretty good for you, but when you start researching like the actual way that our body composition can break down like nuts, it's actually not that easy for our body to break down nuts, which is crazy because they provide a great source of protein. They're pretty clean, pretty easy, but it's just honestly like what we don't know. It's like peanut butter is good for you, okay, but how is peanut butter typically paired? On white bread with jelly? Like totally defeats the purpose of peanut butter being good for you, you know. So that's also a crazy thing about food is like how we pair it to or how we use it can be so detrimental to, you just take away the whole nutritional value of peanut butter when you throw on sugar and white bread, you know?
Exactly. Yes. I think also just like touching on kind of what I was talking about earlier about body image and just like social media and how we're so easily influenced. And I think like because there's not a lot of education around like young people in nutrition, people like just are like, oh, well, this influencer said this, so like I'll just do whatever she said. I think one thing that's been over my like Instagram feed or whatever has been like bloating, and it's like when you cut this out, like this will happen, and people are just like so quick to be like yes, or I don't really know, again, like totally not a nutritionist, like don't know a ton about a lot of things, but like the Bloom like green powder stuff like that, like in the morning, or just like random things, and you never know because they could be like doing promotion deals and they're literally doing this to just get money, but like it's not actually like something that's good for you.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't know, what are y'all's thoughts on just like social media in general with that?
I think social media, I mean, everybody's body is different is what's so important to remember, because something that might work for somebody online might not work for you. So I think that's really important to remember. Like, if your body can tolerate something that somebody else's body can't, that might be good for them, but might not be good for you. So I think it's just really important to know your body, know what your body can handle. I mean, at the end of the day, stuff that is healthy, and stuff that's like not is not, but also everybody's body is different. So it's just really important to be in tune with your body and listen to your body. Like currently, right now, I've kind of fallen into the trap of like the carnivore diet. So I've been on that for like 4 days, whatever.
What does that look like? Like, what is the carnivore diet? I don't know that much about it.
It's all meat, really. I haven't eliminated fruit completely, so I guess you could say I'm not really doing carnivore, but like it's literally all meat. So like for breakfast, I'll have like eggs, bacon, and then I'll have like ground beef for lunch, and then like a steak for dinner. So like I felt great on it, and I'm really just doing it kind of as an elimination diet, and then I'll add in food just to like see how I feel. But like that might work for me but wouldn't work for them. Like it just really depends on your body and like seeing what works for you. So I think that's really the most important thing to remember when you see like your favorite influencers doing these diets or promoting different products.
Yes, and I think like an important thing to remember too is like food is a huge factor, but food's not the only wellness practice or tool that you can use.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at a girl and you're like, I want to look like her, well, she might be working out 4 days a week, 5 days a week. Like she might have a fast metabolism, and that's the thing of comparison that's so critical is like, even though she cut out all carbs does not mean your body might actually need those carbs,
exactly.
you know? And that's another hard part about what we just listen to what we believe, because it's just put out to the mass public. It's not specialized to what you might need or what your body actually is craving. I just listened to a podcast recently that talked about like how most of the food industry and the wellness and the fitness industry is geared towards men. It is literally like the structure of what they tell us to do is to a men's body and physique, and we're so different as women, like that it is really important for us to know like what we need and what our bodies need, where our hormone levels are and everything else. Which is another thing. And I also wanted to comment on something Ava had said earlier about supplements. Like, if you are eating a whole unprocessed food, like really strong diet, you don't need all the supplements. Like, and that's another thing that's promoted so heavily on social media is take this supplement, take your Bloom Greens, take your, creatine, all this stuff that they are telling athletes and people that work out and power lifters and everything. You don't need that if you're eating a whole diet that you're getting all your nutrients in. I definitely think it plays a role for people that are deficient, but for the most part, like, that is not something, everything needs. But again, you're told by social media, these people aren't your nutritionists, aren't your dietitianists. Like, I'm sure there's good advice out there. I mean, we've followed recipes, we've followed stuff, but I mean, you could also have people telling you, like, lemon water is going to make you debloat in, like, 5 hours. It's like, what? Yes. Like, where's the research for it?
Literally. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and additionally, I just wanted to throw in, I'm going to link all of these studies down below if you guys want to further research, but I just wanted to make a little comment on what a study done by researchers at the University of Houston found. They found that in the United States, foods are often touted as being organic, all natural, whole grain, or any combination of other labels that would seem to imply that they are healthy. And in the United States, foods are often, however, these terms are technical in nature, and the average consumer does not understand what it takes for a product to be whole grain. And so kind of what we had mentioned earlier is when you see like protein in big letters on the front of a front of a bar, that immediately might be a trigger word that gets you to draw into that product or want that product, when in reality the 32 grams of sugar really kind of can't stop the protein intake. And so some advice that I have to help with this, which it might make your grocery shopping not as fun, is using this app called Yucca or Trash Panda. Apple has several apps online that you can look at that actually allows you to scan your food label. I think we've talked about this before, but like a large problem is that food labels are there to help us, but most people don't understand how to read them or how to use them. And this app actually breaks down what the ingredients are, what they do to your body, what you need, how much to consume. They also offer recommendations for better products. And I'll tell you, it makes grocery shopping not fun because most of the stuff in our grocery store is terrible for you, but it really does help you to start understanding how to read these food labels and what better alternatives you have and options. I don't know if y'all have used this or how much experience you have with food labels, but this is just something that I've found to be super helpful.
Yeah. I've used the Yucca app, and it's definitely helpful, especially if you don't know what to look for. It's a great tool to use.
Yeah, I actually have never used it. I didn't know about it until Maddie just told me about it a few minutes ago. But I think like as far as reading labels, the first thing that jumps out of me is like the serving size and like calorie count, and like 7 goldfish is like 30 or just like something silly like that. And then also going to those ingredients and literally not knowing
what they are.
Are.
Exactly.
So that's a great way to just know kind of what is good and bad.
Yeah. Just want to leave it on a hopeful note, so it's not completely like, oh my gosh, where do I even start in the food section of the grocery store? Clearly, as we kind of have been talking about, we've all had our personal spouts with the food industry, and it's honestly pushed all of our 3 of us to kind of better educate ourselves and be more aware of marketing tactics of the industry, especially since we're all business major. We're actually learning what these companies are doing. But the biggest area that I think would be very apparent and like why in America it's so hard to eat healthy is honestly the cost. I mean, since coming to college, buying and shopping for healthy foods is expensive, especially being out on our own. Like, I don't think I ever paid attention to what food actually costs, and literally a basket of like 10 items could cost $40, $50, or meat alone. Speaking to that carnivore diet, like that's got to be hard to keep up with.
Absolutely. Yeah, grocery, like for me, it's important for me to like get the grass-fed organic food, so like that's something that I'm able, thankfully, and willing to spend my money on, but I realize that's not the case for everybody. So I'd say when you are like shopping and you can't afford the grass-fed or the organics, to like make the best choices you can, like go for the eggs instead of like buying frozen pancakes or something. Just like still making the healthier choice. You don't have to get the best ingredients or all organic, but I think it's just important to like make the best choices you can that works for you, especially like going to fast food places. Instead of like getting a burger, you could do it without the bun or something like that. Just making the healthier choices.
I think also if we make, like you said, making substitutions, like goodness, if we took away 3 Starbucks drinks, that's $15 that could be spent a week on some healthier food options. And it's just like, what can you take away and spend more money on, and just distribute your money differently if that's something that you struggle with, or you know, it's not easy to provide healthy foods, but what can you take away to kind of balance out that lifestyle?
Yeah, for sure. I think something you mentioned earlier, and just both y'all touched on this, but it is so expensive. And like, I went to the grocery store with my mom and never even paid attention to like any prices and stuff like that. And now that I'm on my own buying groceries and like, ooh, $50 for literally like 5 things, it's crazy. Exactly. Even like protein bars too, like they're literally like $11-12. Protein shakes, like all the good things that you have. But yeah, I think it's definitely, I used to live in California for like a few summers, and I just remember the grocery prices being actually insane. And like it was like $100 for maybe like 10-20 things. It was crazy. So and kind of like, I don't know, we were talking about this a little bit before, but the comparison of like European like prices and American prices is so different, and how it's just not equally distributed with like prices and stuff like that. I think another thing is like natural fruits, natural vegetables like go bad quicker, I think, because they don't have those preservatives. And so that's also just something that is it's so frustrating, because like you can't keep up with it. But yeah, definitely hard.
And especially for families that really do like struggle with income, or don't live close to a grocery store, or can't go once a week to go get the healthy whole foods, it makes fast food look really quick and appealing. And you know, I feel like the business industry knows that. Like, they understand that that's how our culture is structured, and how if they can provide food that's quick, easy, and cheap, people aren't even going to ask what's in it, because they need to put food on the table. Which is unfortunate, you know?
It really is.
It really is. I think also, like, something I've been thinking about is the American culture, like, really pushes, like, to satisfy, like, hunger really quickly, if that makes sense. So it's like, oh, I'm hungry, or like I'm craving like a Oreo or like whatever, and it's like just immediately like, oh, I can go to the store and literally a box of Oreos is what, like $5, whatever.
So
like,
cheap compared to
right, like getting something like sweeter. And so it's like making sure like it's okay to feel hungry sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it's not, hunger is not a bad thing all the time, if that makes sense.
And it's almost to the point, like, okay, I'm not going to spend the money on food now, but when the medical bills come in, because your body's like, stop feeding me this food, like, it is just such a hard, like, it's a no-win cycle for any of these people. And, you know, I was, again, doing some more research to get some evidence to back what we're trying to claim here, and an author, Angela Heimers, found that at least 3 other studies among low-income individuals and households have found that better supermarket access or shopping in a supermarket has a direct positive relationship to makers of a healthful diet. So people that simply aren't even close to a supermarket, or that there's a McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell before they get to the Publix, like, that's another thing that's just, where do people have access to it? And is this a strategic plot of the markets, or is this just unfortunately how it is over here? And I don't know, I have never been to Europe, but I know they have a lot more fresh markets that are just
Yes.
available,
Yeah.
and we just don't have that here,
No.
which is
No,
so
we don't.
unfortunate.
It
It's
is.
so sad.
I think also like since like I've been before and just like you feel so much better after you
That's
eat.
what I've always heard.
Like
yeah.
I
it's
wanna go
never
so
it's
bad
so awesome
for that reason.
just because you don't feel like bloated or anything, and it's like
Yeah.
relatively like I mean it's not crazy expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know why America like has
Yeah.
fallen into this thing of like really processed foods and
Yes.
all those things in other countries. I mean, like obviously the world struggles with it, but
Yeah,
America, like
America,
more so
yes.
than a lot
For
of
sure.
other countries.
I mean, obesity is running rampant, and
Right.
just like cancer rates and
Mhm.
everything. And not that cancer is only caused by food, but
Right.
food
Plays
is a
huge.
huge role
Yeah.
in
like huge.
the way
part.
it's affecting our
Yeah,
bodies that
for
we don't
sure.
even know. And that's the other thing is like
Exactly.
food's expensive, the market's confusing, but we're simply like not educated at all.
Exactly.
It's not taught in our schools. I mean, cafeterias are providing who knows
Mhm.
what. Like
Yeah.
that's another struggle is that we just simply don't even know what we're consuming
Right.
or what's being made for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So, while we've talked a lot about the common struggles in the wellness field and industry, I think it'd be awesome to end with each of us offering just one piece of practical advice to someone who's trying to navigate how to eat healthier, or someone who already is eating healthier, especially in our society structured like America. So I think it'd be great if Ava Castro could start with her advice and opinions.
Yes. So, I think one of my biggest pieces of advice would just be to do your own research, and just like get to know like what you're putting in your body, and kind of like it's okay if you don't know everything all at once. Like obviously the food industry is something that's so complex and hard to understand sometimes, but just knowing like starting with the basics and like maybe like just being more conscious of food labels on the back, just how you're fueling your body. That'd be my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, that's good advice. Ava
Is it me?
Pulliam, you want to share some?
Yes. I've already kind of said this, but just like really listening to your body, knowing what makes you feel good. You don't have to really do what you see on social media, what you see these fit people doing online, because what might work for them might not work for you. So really just listening to your body, and also just knowing that it's okay if you don't look exactly like your favorite fit influencer, because
for
I mean
sure.
comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
Yes.
So really just listening to your body, doing what makes you feel good. If you like, this doesn't really have to do with food, but like let's say you like doing yoga and like that kind of stuff, like do stuff that will make you feel less stressed, because that will also help your body just feel great overall. But yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice from both of y'all. And like I said earlier, like none of us are nutritionists. None of us have actual like. We're not certified or anything yet. I think two of us might try to get certified,
Yes!
which would be super exciting. But we are simply speaking straight up from experience, straight up from what we've seen in the world, just kind of what we've encountered. And my biggest piece of advice was start simple. Don't overwhelm yourself. You don't have to immediately go on a Whole30 diet, on a carnivore diet. It could simply be by trading out snacks for fruit or eating out one less night a week. And the other thing too is give yourself some grace. Like this is not a linear journey.
Right.
It is, you're not perfect. If you eat a milkshake one night, okay, like the next
Good.
day, like
Yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
that milkshake.
Yes.
But the next day, maybe work out or not eat a sweet treat that night. And that's the thing, is just give yourself some grace. And once your body starts to feel better, it'll know. Like it'll
Yes.
kickstart your motivation to do more. And the temptations and just walking away from eating the way you were before, it will become easier and easier. So I think these are just some pieces that you can take away, take them or leave them, but this is just what we've experienced with ways to just make this, like, navigating this world a little bit easier. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. We are lucky to have all of you wonderful listeners out there. I hope you all learned something new or helpful today. Additionally, my challenge for you users this week is to make one switch of something that you don't feel is best for you now to a healthier choice. For example, if that's cutting out one Starbucks drink this week, or one milkshake, or one dessert this week, try to make a healthier choice or swap before we tune in again next week. And I want to give a special shout out and thanks to our guests, Ava Castro and Ava Pulliam, for generously donating their time to share their knowledge with us.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, happy to have you guys. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful week and tune in next time for more wellness tips and topics. As always, strive for healthy.